Hi, Daniel and Neil.
Hey,
Welcome
Caroline.
back.
Hey, guys.
How
Hey,
are
Neil.
you? Good, good. Thanks very much for that, guys. That was a brilliant walkthrough of what the learning experience would be like on the DMI program. So I hope everybody else has enjoyed where we've got to date, but we're going to be running through all your questions now. Now, as much as I enjoy putting Neil through his paces and asking all those hard questions, like him to rhyme off all the various different pricing that we have in the various different currencies, what I would like to draw your attention to is on the right-hand side of the screen, there is actually a handout there and a PDF with all the pricing. Now, that's not to say if you don't ask that question, I won't try and make Neil rhyme them all off and all those currencies anyway. But I think what we'll do is just maybe ease them in gently, and we'll start off with Chelsea. So Daniel, I'm going to ask you maybe to answer Chelsea's question here, which is, I see that most of the courses are 3+ hour videos. Are you able to stop a course during the process and resume it at another time, or do you have to complete it once you're on it?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and as I said on the just kind of through the demonstration, it is a lot of content. There's approximately 130 hours just over within the postgraduate course, because it really does go into a lot of detail around the best practices of using those channels. When you kick off your course, it does run for 44 weeks, and there is no way essentially to pause your course, all right, unless there, if there's a medical situation, of course we can take that into account and think of it as kind of how a university would operate. You would need some kind of supporting documentation there for us to pause your course. But having said that, the course runs for 44 weeks, all right. So the first assignment is due 20 weeks in. And then you'll actually have 4 weeks after that. Think of it as a reading month, if you will, where if you're a little bit behind on course content, you have 4 weeks there to go back in and revise some of the areas that you might want to kind of upskill in or gain a bit more experience, all right? And then after those 4 weeks, you'll get into assignment 2 and you'll make your way through that. So I'll just kind of try and summarize that in a timeline, because I know it can kind of sound a bit convoluted. The first assignment will be from week 1 to 20. Then you'll have a 4 modules if that's an area you want to explore, and then you'll have
Sorry, Daniel,
after the first 24
for
weeks.
Me there, so you probably broke up for other people as well. So
okay,
just
no problem.
The first period is 1 to 20 weeks, and then there's a 4-week gap.
There's a 4-week gap, and that's where you can revise content if you're a little bit behind, for example. But there is no flexibility in terms of the the assignment deadlines. We do have a criteria that needs to be met. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Daniel.
No problem.
Neil, if I could ask you to go through why exactly this is a question from Jeffrey. So Jeffrey's from Tokyo, and he wants to look for a bit more information about why the DMI expert are more advantageous than some of the other self-directed learning programs that are out there. He mentions a few platforms, which I won't do, but maybe you could actually go into that.
Yeah, of course. It's a good point to bring up. So I suppose we actually have around kind of 7 to 8 different programs in our portfolios, and we do get the often question asked where, why would I do the expert maybe over other options in the marketplace? So I think it comes down to what someone's short and long-term career goals are. If himself would kind of be looking for, I suppose, really strong levels of confidence in relation to digital marketing, campaign management, and he's thinking about his career kind of 5+ years into the future, he'd certainly be a lot more confident based on completing something like the DMI expert, because it's basically the first half of a master's degree in digital marketing. I mean, it is kind of designed to kind of get you to a very high level, hence why it's named the DMI expert. It's not that you need to be an expert to start it, but by the end of the experience, you should have expert level digital marketing skills. And we actually obviously do a lot of kind of training with top digital companies and brands, and a lot of our staff members have conversations, and kind of the general consensus and feedback is that companies that kind of interview DMI expert graduates and members of our alumni generally do find that they're very knowledgeable. Okay, they give excellent presentations when it comes to the interview process, but obviously upon securing the job, they can lead that overall company digital strategy to a very strong level. So I think that's kind of one of the key focuses and the benefits of what a DMI expert would do for is it Jeffrey? I think that's his name, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you know, it's definitely a very valid question to ask. And I suppose the difference between what we offer and maybe other providers in the marketplace, naming no names, again, it kind of links to one of the points I was speaking about, which is the connection to industry. So if you are learning about Google Analytics or Google AdWords, or you're learning about Facebook or Instagram ads, it makes a big difference if you have that reassurance knowing that Google and Facebook have advised us what should be included in that type of content, and then that content being led by a subject matter expert that likely runs an agency in that field that can give you really interesting and relevant case studies and company examples. So that's a bit of a long-winded answer, but hopefully he sees some of the key points I was trying to make.
Yeah, no, but I think that's very true to, particularly actually I'm going to tap into your aspect about connectivity, because I suppose like the DMI is unique in the fact that like whenever you're part of it, then you're part of a community of 67,500 plus members, all that are working within that sector and in the role of digital marketing, and those are global. It's not just representing one specific geography. So you're tapping into a worldwide knowledge, not something specific to your area. And I suppose the other side of that as well is the support of the membership platform as well, that it goes beyond just what you're learning in your certification, that the support is there throughout your entire professional career, not during your learning journey.
Exactly, that's a very valid point again, and Daniel, you know, really covered this to a good level, that there's a section dedicated to continuous professional development on our membership platform. So we get the question asked quite a lot in our admissions team, which is, if I do the program, you know, surely the industry is changing and it's evolving and things might become out of date. But that's the great thing. If you study something like the DMI Expert or any program that we offer, during but after your studies with us as a member, you're kept up to date with the hottest trends, the big shifts in the industry through our different articles and webinars and podcasts. So absolutely, membership offers that chance to continuously upskill and refresh your digital marketing knowledge.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Neil. I'm going to ask you, Daniel, Cynthia's question, which is about the support and mentoring that you get during the assignment. So I know you've gone into a good bit of detail here, but maybe if you could just summarize it for Cynthia.
Yes, no worries. So Cynthia, as we said, you've probably seen some of the layout and structure of the course itself. So that's for students obviously to, you know, kind of self-direct and make their way through the content. But we do have for the postgraduate course live webinars that run on a weekly basis. All right, so those webinars are specific to both assignments as well. And each assignment obviously has different sections that's required, but the webinars will run you through the best practices. They'll also showcase some of the areas within the course that are probably the best area to explore for you to develop them as well. Okay, and there's not forgetting, of course, that those webinars have a live Q&A on them, so you can attend them on a weekly basis, and you can, you know, seek clarity on any insights just to make sure that you're doing your assignment correctly and you're availing of the course content as well.
Thanks, Daniel.
No problem.
Javan is asking, do the course have a graphic design aspect? So I just think I can probably answer that for Javan, which is not the actual program, but going back to the My DMI library. Within that, we offer a series of uncertified short courses, which are there to expand and give you short sprints in terms of a learning and knowledge journey, often which are there to support your continuous professional development. And in that actually includes a graphic designs essential program, which we actually partnered with HubSpot in creating as well. So there's all sorts of content there that will support you in anything that you're doing tied to your digital marketing experience. Then if I go to, there's actually a good few questions, and maybe both of you can chip in at different points around what's the difference between the DMI Pro and the DMI Expert?
Yeah, really good question, and we get it asked a lot actually. So the DMI Pro is designed to give you a really good, solid overview of the digital marketing industry. So you'll cover all of the key channels from SEO to analytics to PPC to email marketing, social media advertising. It will give you that really good kind of helicopter overview, and at the same time, you can still kind of set up some campaigns, you can measure the performance of your campaigns and actually execute a digital marketing strategy. The time frame is definitely shorter than the Expert. You know, we actually have up to 24 weeks to take the exam by, but because it's on demand and you move through the course at your own pace, it really is up to the individual in terms of how long it takes them. But on average, you might be looking at maybe 10, 15 weeks, could be a bit less, could be a bit longer. But it's a shorter commitment. It's 30 hours of content, okay, and the assessment is an exam, which is a great way to test your competencies. The exam is very trusted within the digital industry globally, but I suppose the difference between that program and the Expert is, and Daniel touched on this during his discussion, it's 130 hours on the Expert. So naturally, if you have an employer that has a DMI Pro graduate next to a DMI Expert graduate, probably in the eyes of the company, they'll see the DMI Expert graduate more competent because naturally there's 130 hours of knowledge behind them in comparison to the 30 hours. But kind of saying that the Expert is a bit more of a commitment, obviously. With the assessments of the projects, you're going to be finishing it in about 40 to 44 weeks. So yeah, those would definitely be some of the key differences, but they're both excellent certifications, and it always comes down, I suppose, to what a professional's mindset is, both in the short and long term of their career motivations.
I think, Neil, just to kind of finish on that point is, I think the practicality of the Expert separated as well a little bit, because of course you're applying the knowledge throughout your Expert course to a real company, and you're analyzing their industry, and you're also developing a digital marketing strategy based on their audience and the industry in which they operate. So the practicality of the learning material, you will develop real content based around that.
Again, I completely agree with you that the assessments that you actually do on the Expert, where you're analyzing a business, how it operates, how you lead the strategy forward, yeah, that's kind of a set of skills that you can apply to any commercial environment, any product or service moving forward. So you definitely have a much stronger grasp of setting up and executing digital campaigns through the completion of the assignments. Yeah.
And there is a number of questions here about the DMI Pro, of which I'll definitely ask the gents here today. But just to say that we've actually ran 2 virtual open days on the DMI Pro prior to now. And if you go over to our YouTube channel, you'll find both a summary of one of those DMI virtual days and also a full session on it as well. So if you want to get more information outside of the questions that are asked here today, you can just hop on over to our YouTube channel and you'll get all the information there. Let's see if okay, there's a couple of questions coming in about masters as well. So seeing as we're on the subject of different programs here, maybe if I tap into that. So like if I take Philippa here is wondering what's the outline and timeline for the master's program.
Yeah, so with, and Daniel can give his kind of opinion on this, but with the master's degree in digital marketing, it's pretty much comprised of 2 stages. So the first stage is basically the DMI Expert. You know, what we've been speaking about today through the 130 hours of content and the 2 assignments. And that takes you up to about 44 weeks. We say that for the second stage, if someone actually wants to get their degree, their MSc, which is awarded by the University of Salford, in total, stage 1 plus stage 2, you are probably looking at about 2 years, 24 months, as our website suggests. At the same time, every individual is different, and they can submit the assignments sooner compared to the exact timeframes that are required. But generally, to get your master's degree, we advise that it will take you pretty much up to the 2 years in terms of getting the results and graduating. Okay, I don't know if you have any more to add to that, Daniel.
No, essentially, as you said, that the first half, if you can call it the first stage of the expert course, really is kind of the first milestone that you need to complete, and then you'll move into the master stage, which is affiliated with Salford, the University of Salford. You'll then undertake Salford specific modules. One of them is direct marketing or digital marketing communications, and then the second is actually online offline consumer behavior. All right, and you'll need to develop assignments around those particular digital marketing areas as well. Okay, when you've completed those, then you'll move into a thesis stage, and that's where you'll obviously submit a proposal, and you'll run through and develop a thesis. And again, you'll have ongoing webinars to assist you in that area as well. It's a lot further down the line if you go down that road. As you said, it will take over a year to get there, but it is something that students do. They go through the postgraduate expert course, and then they segue in and they actually go further and complete the masters as well.
Thanks, guys. Brenda from Austin, Texas is asking, what would be the difference between our courses and the boot camps or programs offered by universities? So maybe Neil, you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, fundamentally, it's the same program that you study. It's the same syllabus. It's just that our partners that deliver the program deliver it to their specification. So as you just said there, some of our partners will offer a bootcamp version where it's kind of a nice, short, intensive burst. Actually, when I joined the Institute moons ago now, 8 years, I actually did the 5-day boot camp that we used to have in Dublin. So, I mean, fundamentally, it's the same program. It's to the same high standards because we work very closely with our partners to make sure the delivery is really strong. It's just that the partner will deliver it to their own desired timeframe. So if it's a 5-day boot camp for the DMI Pro, or if it's the 12 or 10-week kind of part-time style course, which I'm pretty sure some partners still do, again, it's just kind of relevant to how they want to deliver the syllabus, but it's the same certification, it's the same award that you get, and it again comes down to the individual student, kind of how best they wish to proceed with their studies, whether it's online or whether it's through kind of a classroom version through a partner.
Perfect. And since we're on this kind of a general area, if I ask you, Neil, maybe if you could go into about the level of certification as well, because we've got a few questions around that there.
Okay, yes. So, I mean, if we're looking at the DMI Expert, which is obviously what the main focus of today's webinar and Open Day has been about, well, it's called the DMI Expert, but the actual award that you receive is what we call a postgraduate diploma in digital marketing. And I did cover that on my discussion, because sometimes you'll see that on the website and you think, is that the DMI Expert? It is. It's if you see postgraduate diploma in digital marketing, it is essentially the DMI Expert. Again, it is accredited. It's internationally recognized. It's mapped to the European qualifications framework at level 7. So obviously the European qualifications framework ties into pretty much every major education body in the world. You kind of have different boundaries in terms of regions internationally. So because it's level 7, most postgraduate level and master level programs are deemed level 7. Okay, in comparison, the DMI Pro is level 5 on the European qualifications framework. So the accreditation, you could say, is higher at the expert level. But to be honest with you, in my experience and the feedback I get from professionals and companies is that so many organizations really like the industry recognition behind the course, because a lot of HR directors and HR managers, they're quite aware of our certification. Okay, they know we have over 65,000 members, and essentially because the likes of Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter have given feedback into the curriculum, that really kind of resonates a lot with companies because they like the hands-on practical approach. So yes, it is accredited, it is mapped to different international frameworks, but the industry accreditation is very important as well. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Daniel.
I think that was fairly comprehensive. Anyway, I don't know if Daniel can hear us there, but Daniel, can you hear us there? Okay, perfect. Good, because the next
I can hear
question
you.
is
Sorry, guys, I just lost it for a second, but I'm back. It's working okay again.
perfect. So Daniel, the next question is for you, and it's coming from Kyle, which is asking around the company that you select for your assignments. So Kyle's asking, does he get to decide the company that he is assigned, or is this, I suppose, dictated by the DMI?
No, it's a little bit of a mixture of both, essentially. It's up to the student to obtain a company. All right, so that can be anything from a startup to as I said, a major global player, or something in terms of even a charitable organization. That's absolutely fine. There is criteria needed, though. All right, one is that the company has to be operational. The second is that they give you permission to use them as well. All right, and then also that they have a digital marketing presence. So they can have a very minor digital marketing presence. So perhaps they only have a website and maybe one social channel operational. Okay, that's absolutely fine. So again, the scope is vast in terms of the size of the company. Remember, you can also correspond with a company remotely. Okay, so you can conduct all your research with them in correspondence from a remote location. But there is criteria needed in terms of that they have a digital presence. And the reason for that is actually for you guys to gain more knowledge in digital marketing, all right? Because you may be able to use some of the digital channels they have in operation, one, to possibly innovate those channels, but also to use them and apply audience research with them. So if a company has maybe their Google Analytics set up or they've got social insights available, you can use that data to develop audience research, which is applicable to assignment 1 and also highly applicable to when you're meeting your strategy to meet your target audience in assignment 2. So there is criteria needed. We give you all the insights that you'll need as well. And as I said, we have some assets available when you're approaching companies, the information that they can expect to share with you and some of the key requirements as well. But you can pick any company as long as they meet that kind of criteria, yes. But it's up to the student to gain it.
Perfect. And another one for you, Daniel, now from Dewey, who is asking, given the time frame that's there for the DMI expert, is there any chance that you can finish it faster if you wanted to study faster?
The best practices, and students ask this, but by the end they'll probably be asking for a bit more time as a possibility. But the main thing is, remember, there's a lot of content there, okay? And to make your way through the content and to gain a company, to utilize the channels that they have available to you, to develop both assignments, students who finish with the best grade actually stick to the time frame and the study planner that we've laid out. All right, if it's a requirement that you may need to finish it a couple of weeks early, perhaps do get in touch with us and we'll see what we can do. But if I'm being completely honest here, the normal circumstances are that usually anyone who kind of asks for an extension or needs to submit, there has to be a really rational justification for that. But we are kind of open, but it's quite rare that we'd give that kind of switch up, if you will, to let someone to maybe submit just later. But if it's a medical situation or something, yes, or maybe it's a company related situation, we can see if we can kind of mitigate around that.
Perfect. And just Dewey is also, I suppose, asking for supports and if she's got any questions or needs consultation, what's available. So we've already gone through that in a good bit of detail so far, but I suppose just to summarize, and Daniel, you might be able to help me out here, but there is quite a supportive email journey that will help you throughout the process, guiding you to the various different learning supports and webinars that are available. You'll have your own dedicated classroom or cohort that will be able to support you in terms of any questions that you may have and that can help you during that whole research or learning process. And you have that general form as well of your 67,500 plus community, many of which have already gone through this process and understand it, that you can reach out to as well. And we actually do have private messaging facility built in there as well. So if you reach out and somebody gives you a solution, you can go and contact them separately for any further information. But I suppose, is there anything else you would add to that, Daniel, in terms of a quick synopsis of some of the supports that we offer there?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of summed it up there quite nicely. You've got the cohort that you're engaged with. You've got a specific form for those as well. All right. So the exact stage you're at in your learning journey, you'll have other people with you, okay, along those stages, and you communicate with those students as well. The second thing is we have those live weekly webinars that are specific to assignments. The other area is that you can have direct correspondence with our support team here. So you can use the support area of your learning platform to contact our team, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible, whether it's an assignment-based query, whether it's course related, or whether it's even just negotiating way around the platform. So you've really multiple different support methods available to you throughout your journey. Yes.
Perfect. Thanks, Daniel. I suppose
No
I should mention as well that Daniel obviously is one of the dedicated tutors for this program as well. So not as only has he helped us craft and inform that email journey, but he's there on the forum and answer your questions throughout the process. So I suppose once it's online, you're always connected. Okay, let's see if we go to Louis. So Louis is asking about, I suppose, the level of learning and detail, and also the level of knowledge that you need to have. So, for example, if he's given an example here of when you teach on SEO, how much would I need to know on SEO coming into the DMI Expert?
Okay, do you want me to take that one, Neil, or do you want to maybe?
Well, I think we'll both cover it. I mean, I
Okay.
think it's important to say that with the DMI Expert, there isn't specific entry criteria. So we get this kind of question a lot where, do I have to be a digital expert? Do I have to have prior experience? And the answer is no, okay? It could be advantageous if you have some knowledge of some of the channels, but it is pretty much open to anyone from any background. I mean, the way the modules are structured, they do kind of start off kind of teaching the fundamentals. It's quite granular in terms of how the learning process builds up. And obviously, as you go through the different channels in more detail, as you go through the modules, the knowledge levels will increase. But as you'll see on our website, it isn't a case that you have to have, a prior knowledge in SEO or other digital channels to do the course. I mean, I think the main thing is that each individual has to be motivated and obviously has a passion for digital, and that will come through, when watching and engaging with the content, as well as the completion of the assignments themselves. But there isn't any specific prior kind of set knowledge or criteria that you need to meet in order to do the DMI Expert. I'll hand it over to Daniel.
Yeah, and just kind of to put that a bit further, if someone maybe has background in a particular channel, such as SEO, maybe they have quite a high level of maybe they're paid search or maybe they're email marketing. Remember that the expert course does cover the real key, a wide array of channels, all right, and it also covers digital marketing strategy. So you'll not only learn other channels, maybe you're quite specialized in one and you want to kind of segue out further, you will also learn digital marketing strategy, which will allow you to kind of use these channels effectively and in synergy with each other as well. Okay, so we do have some students who would say, I'm quite proficient on email marketing, okay, or maybe on social media, but they really want to upskill in SEO and they want to learn how to use them together. So that's kind of a key area I'd like to say here. Not only will you learn other channels, you'll kind of learn the holistic approach of using them all effectively at the same time.
Great, guys, thanks. Now I'm going to ask Neil maybe to answer Sue's question. So it's all around kind of the pricing and payment options available. So maybe if you could run through, I know, again, I'm going to redirect people to the handout there as well that's available on the right-hand side of your screen that lists all the pricing and particularly the offer that is available at the moment. But perhaps you could run through the payment options there, Neil.
Yeah, so I mean, the pricing handout is there obviously in terms of the main currencies around euros, sterling, and US dollars. I mean, the key thing to suggest and say is that normally, the fees that you see on a website for this month only in June, there is a 30% discount, okay? And to add to that, the option is there where you don't actually have to pay that full amount upfront. There is flexibility that our student accounts team will give to you if you're looking for it, and it kind of helps you out. So if you make an application and speak to one of our advisors, only 50% of the fees are required to enroll, start the course, and then the other 50% is due 60 days later. So you can actually spread the cost out over a bit more of a longer period of time, as opposed to kind of paying everything up front. And obviously, in kind of the global climate at the moment, the Institute is here to help professionals as much as they can. But yeah, I mean, there is kind of a nice element of flexibility there, and it's definitely advantageous to think about that this month, because tuition fees are scheduled to resume to the normal full rate from the 1st of next month. Okay.
Perfect, thanks Neil. Then I suppose either of you guys could jump in and answer this one. It's from Maureen, who is asking, is it recommended that you do the DMI courses sequentially? So like, should you do the DMI Pro before you do the Expert?
Yeah, another really good query to ask. Some people like to do something like the DMI Pro. Again, it kind of gives you a really good baseline, takes not really too much time to finish and complete and graduate, and then later on in their kind of education journey, they might come back to the Institute to do something like the Expert or Masters, and that can be a very good way to go. Okay, because again, it all comes down to an individual circumstances. You've got to look at the time element to complete a program. You've got to look at the tuition fee element, depending on if you're looking to get a job or you're looking to go for a more senior role. Maybe the Pro is going to give you everything you need. At the same time, we do have a lot of professionals decide to go straight into the Expert and not actually start off with DMI Pro. And again, that comes down to that individual's motivations, because if your goal is to become pretty proficient in digital marketing in a shorter space of time as possible, by going straight into the Expert and completing that within about 44 weeks, in comparison, if you did the Pro, that's going to take you up to 24 weeks, and then you go on to the Expert afterwards. It just takes more time if you go through the first and the second option. So again, it comes down to maybe what her goals are. That if she wants to be proficient in a shorter space of time as possible, then maybe it might be worth her going straight into the Expert. But at the same time, it's perfectly possible and very popular to maybe do just the DMI Pro and then go on to the Expert later on.
Thanks, Neil. So I think at this stage, I'm going to wrap up shortly with one final question. And at this stage, I think, judging by the questions that are there, we've covered most of them to date in some capacity or other. There's a few questions in there asking for, I suppose, a deeper dive on payments. And what I would suggest is if you head on over to our website, and we have a chat facility in there. If you just pop in your question, one of the team will be able to send you any information regarding payment links, etc. through that means, and we'll be sure to follow up with you. So I suppose we're going to finish off with Wilson, which asked the all-important question about income, money. Where does this leave me? What do I get at the end of this? So Wilson is asking, what are the options to increase income in this space? And I suppose I'll start off, but if you guys could chip in as well. So I suppose Neil can answer about the certification side of things, but I suppose one of the things that I wanted to point out as part of the membership offer in here is really the opportunity to build your own profile within the community. So we have a couple of things that allow you to do that, and I think that's really important within this, because that's how you progress through the people you know. So one of the aspects there is obviously the facility to publish your own work. So if you have any insights that you want to share with the community, you have the ability to share that, work with our own content editor and have that published within the platform. So therefore your knowledge and insight is being shared within the community. We also have that community forum as well. So therefore you can get in there, ask the questions that matter, but also showcase and demonstrate your knowledge and experience and skill set within the community there. And we actually also have an area specifically called Showcase Yourself. So go in there and tell the guys about you, what you're at, what's your ambitions and what's the next steps as well, and see if there's somebody within the community that can help you. That's how the membership community can help you. And of course, membership is only 2 years old with the Digital Marketing Institute, so we're always growing it and expanding the benefits and options that are available, because it really is there to focus and be there to help and support you in your career journey. But I suppose Neil, as our digital transformation advisor here, can really expand on how the certification side of things are going to benefit you and help you expand your income. And I suppose it would be remiss of me as well not to mention the CPD side of things, which is one of the things that is basically us giving you outside of your certification that validation that you are not only certified with the knowledge, skills and prowess to actually meet all the challenges within this constantly changing landscape, but aside from that, you're maintaining those knowledge and skills, and that you're recording it, and that we're reviewing it and validating that as well. So I suppose, Neil, if you want to add anything to that, and of course Daniel as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like anything, you study because you want to get something out of it at the end of the day. So whether that's to secure a digital marketing position and kind of get into the industry, or maybe you're in the sector and you want to go for that more kind of senior managerial role, or even kind of set up your own kind of digital startup, you know, kind of what's going on internationally now. There's probably no better time, as everyone says. So again, whatever your motivations are, certainly a certification can help. I mean, in my experience in my last 8 years, speaking to lots of professionals and companies, our certification is well known. Okay, obviously Caroline spoke really highly of the platform and all the resources that we have on it. LinkedIn is also an amazing platform. So, you know, we have got many calls, you know, in recent times and over the years from employers, kind of trying to find out what maybe someone scored on our certifications or on our assessments, because that's how well it's valued and perceived. So Daniel would have touched on the assignments, but certainly companies want someone that can show a track record of success and actually building a digital strategy for an organization. So by doing the assignments, what you're basically doing is portfolio building. Okay, you can actually go into an interview and say, I studied with the Digital Marketing Institute. I did my project on company X. It's actually one of your competitors. Okay, therefore, I know your industry very well. I know your competition very well. And it's just a great way to demonstrate and show that you can add immediate value because you've successfully, you know, carried out, say, the assignments at kind of postgraduate and expert level. You know, in my discussion, I kind of touched on a little bit around the salaries in our industry, from a kind of a classic digital marketing kind of manager position all the way to the more kind of specialized routes around kind of social media and SEO. But if you go in at an entry level position, say for maybe SEO or social media, if you work really hard, you get some good results, and maybe you could show that you have a certification to back up your experience, within about 1 or 2 years, you could definitely go to a more senior position and command a bigger pay bracket, you know, and have that kind of discussion with your manager or your digital director. So definitely, there's really good opportunities to progress and kind of earn more within the space. But alongside the experience, the actual piece of paper, the certification, is very highly valued by companies to date.
Thanks very much, Neil. And I think that's a good note to finish up on. So just to close out today's webinar, this webinar was recorded. So after probably within the next hour, this webinar is going to be emailed out to you. So if you want to catch up on anything or have a recap on anything, it will be there for you to be able to tap into. On the email as well, the guys showcased earlier on that we run regular webinars. So in that will be a link to our next webinar, which is on the 9th of July. It's 3:30 p.m. Irish time. And we will be having a subject matter expert running through the email marketing blueprint. So if you don't have your strategy already in place, it's a good place to start it and get one going. Now, our subject matter experts are available to view, so you can have a look to see at what you could experience on some of our YouTube channels and also through our podcast. So if you haven't seen enough from what Neil and Daniel have showed you today, you can always go in and check them out and see what you can expect in terms of the knowledge that is being shared and showcased there as well. So without further ado, nothing's left for me to do except to thank you all for joining us. It's been great. We've had some fabulous questions, and to thank the team here as well, Neil and Daniel, for sharing their thoughts and to walking us through the platform today. I hope you all enjoyed it. We certainly have, and thank you very much.